Piano Man Steve Lungrin here, and I was just playing a little bit from the song that my latest tutorial is from, The Angry Young Man, Prelude / The Angry Young Man by Billy Joel, adding my Billy Joel collection. This is one of the most requested songs in Billy's entire catalog for a tutorial, so I'm glad I finally got around to doing it. Anyway, you know the drill, or if you don't, I teach it section by section, note by note. Very, very thorough, and it's inexpensive. So head to the link in the comments section below this video, and you can pick up a copy at my website and take a look at all of my other Billy Joel tutorials, other song tutorials, and all my lesson videos teaching you everything you need to know about playing rock, pop, and country on the piano. So I will leave it at that. There's a free clip coming up here just momentarily, so enjoy that. You can give me a test drive for free, and just remember, as you go out and continue to play music, if you're not having fun when you're making music, you're doing it wrong. Enjoy your free clip, and I'll see you on the next one. Piano Man Steve signing out. See ya. Okay, well, let's get down to business and learn what everyone's really here for, which, of course, is this little phrase right here. Okay, so let's talk about it. Essentially, there's two things going on. There is the foundation of this whole deal, which is the 16th notes going on between your two index fingers. The technique you want to use, I personally prefer, you're on a middle C here, and I like my right hand to be toward the end of the key and my left hand to be just above it, and it's pretty straightforward. One right after another, and what I would say is that it's wise to practice just that part of it for a while first. Get yourself real comfortable with before you start trying to throw the grace notes in there, because the grace notes are like a train wreck if you don't have the timing down. They really will just completely screw everything up. They're not really that hard once you have the timing down, but if you don't, like I say, it really will just kind of take everything off the tracks. So what I would do maybe is set up a metronome if you have one. You could set it for fairly low setting, maybe 60 beats a minute even. I'll give you an example. So I've got this set for 60 beats a minute. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And then, you know, after you feel comfortable with that, just start increasing it by 5 or 10 beats per minute over time, and eventually you're going to want to be, that's a bad voice, hang on here. Now, people are going to ask me, I'm going to address this right now. Steve, what can I do to get the timing right? Guys, it pains me to have to say this to you, but practice. That's it. I'm sorry. I wish I had a magic wand for you to wave, but you're gonna just have to practice until you get the timing right. Play it slower and stay slow until you can be really smooth, and then gradually increase the pace. That's what I had to do. I'm sure that's what Billy Joel had to do. That's just the price of admission for this song. And This is a spring-loaded key keyboard. I've done it on weighted key keyboards. It's not really about that. Whatever instrument you're using, you can get the timing down on eventually, but you have to give it time for your fingers to acclimate to how quickly the key bounces back up and how staccato to push it. You know, I'm basically just kind of tapping. So that's what you do, is start slower. Go for 2 or 3 minutes and just try to keep a steady flow. Then speed it up a little. So that's how you do it. Really pretty straightforward technique, but absolutely the foundation of what you're doing. Now let's talk about the grace notes, because I think I don't need to go over that much more for you. You know what to do. The grace notes, essentially what they are is they are substitutions. All the grace notes are done with the right hand, and they always substitute what would be one of the right hand's rotations on that C. Okay, so it's just a few small kind of chords. The first group of notes is just an E and a G, then an F and an A, then a G and a B, and then you jump up an octave and it's a C and an E, and then back down to an E and a G. So, boom. Okay? Keep in mind, all of these are staccato. Just da, 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 da. They don't, that's not, you're not holding them long. Like that, you're not going. No, it's da 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 da. So again, you have E and G, F and A, G and B, then high C, high E, back down to E and G. Where do they fit into this? The other thing that happens is down here with your index fingers and their rotations is that occasionally you'll substitute a B below the C for the C. So you're going da 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 da. I'll show you where that fits into the equation as well. So I actually have written something out for you in your video chapter list. For those of you watching, this is the free clip on YouTube or whatever free whatever is out there. You don't have a video chapter list. If you buy the tutorial, you'll get one, but I wrote out a little thing with the counts broken down. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and okay? And I put accents, the little inverted V, over the top of the part of the count where the grace notes fall. So let's talk about them. What you have is 1 E and 2. So on the onbeat of 2, you have your first 1 E and 2 E and what's happening is that you're playing the grace notes with the middle finger and pinky finger of your right hand, and like I say, it replaces the middle C. So 1 E and 2 E and C, 2, and then immediately back down with your left index finger. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and. Okay, so you're on 2, and then you're on the and of 3. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. The second part of that phrase, when you play the F and the A as your grace notes, you're on 1 and the and of 2. So we were on 2 and the and of 3, and then we go to 1 and the and of 2. And what happens is it sounds like this: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 2 E and a. That B, that's on 4. So watch that. I'm going to play it real slow and count them out for you. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. One E and a 2, 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2. Okay. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So if you do it, if you clap on your legs, that's another way to work out the timing, is start 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, and give a little extra accent to where the grace notes go. So it'd be like this. It's all in the right hand. 2 E, 3, 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 2. 1 and 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So again, I've got that written out: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a, with the little accents over them. For those of you who like to separate those, to what's the word, subdivide those things out, I do have that there. So that's the first part of the phrase: 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. Okay, now the second half of that, the last 2 bars, you use the exact same rhythms, but instead of being here, it's 1 E and a 2 E and a. So you're up to the G and the B, 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And then 1 on the high C and E, and the and of 2 you're back to E and G, and then you have your little 4 on the B. So watch that. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1, 2 E and a. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So the whole phrase, I'm going to play it a little bit slower here. 1, 2, 3, 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. Here we go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 2 and a 4 E and a. and then you just repeat it. So, you know, again, the process I would use is, first I would work really hard to just get good at going. Without that, everything's going to be a train wreck anyway. Then I would just practice going like this. Just kind of get yourself ready or used to playing with these two fingers. Again, middle finger and pinky, E and G, F and A, G and B, C and E, back to E and G. Okay? At that point, then you can start trying to work those in, and if you can play it at that speed, I promise you, you'll be able to work your way up to the real thing. But don't try to play it at the speed of light right away, unless you already know how to do it. In which case, I'm sorry that you bought the tutorial, but you can't have your money back because you already knew you knew how to play it. Anyway, but don't try to play it at the speed of light. You'll just frustrate yourself, you know. It's that simple. In the beginning, you actually play through that whole thing 4 times. So, and then the other 2 times that you play that line, you play it twice. So that is, in fact, the long and the short of how to play that. It's actually, note-wise, it's not that difficult. It's rhythmically challenging because you just have to get the timing in your wrists. You gotta get your wrists need to be supple, and you just need to get used to it and get a feel for the instrument that you're playing on. But once it's there, you can't lose it. It's pretty awesome. And it's actually not as hard to do as it looks or sounds, but your audience doesn't need to know that. As far as they are concerned, you should let them think that it's the most difficult thing you have ever played or that's ever been attempted. So, one more time all the way through. And at full speed, the opening line of the whole thing. We'll move into the next section of the song in the next section of the video. Thanks a lot. See you around.